Hey everybody, this is Ray Halstead and Patricia Nass with REH CPAs. Today we want to talk about President Trump's one big beautiful bill. I was going to do my President Trump impersonation, but it's not that great. But anyways, just want to remind everybody that this is still just a bill. It's not law yet. So some of this stuff may happen, some of it may not, but I wanted to just kind of give you a heads up. I've got Patty here with me. Patty, what can you tell us, some of the highlights that are in this bill?
Yeah, so some of the things that are a little bit important that people are going to be more paying attention to. So for individuals, we can kind of go through them first. So if you have children, the child tax credit right now is about $2,000. You know, high income earners, it starts phasing out about $400,000 of income, but they're talking about increasing that credit from $2,000 to $2,500 per child. So that's one of the first things. The other thing is, you know, the standard deduction right now is about $29,000. That was supposed to be going back down. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 increased that to give everybody a better standard deduction. So they're talking about making that permanent at least $30,000. Then after that, the SALT cap. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the SALT cap, state and local tax cap limit that they have when they do itemized deductions. So right now it's capped at $10,000, whether you're filing single, married filing joint. So they're looking at making that at $30,000 for a married filing joint and $15,000 for if you're filing single. Again, they are going to phase this out for people making over $400,000. But it's definitely for, you know, for your middle class, your lower income people, it'll definitely be a huge savings for them to be able to take this now, where it used to be limited. Another thing that they're talking about doing is increasing all the tax brackets for inflation. So, you know, each year they usually raise it a little bit. So they are talking about doing a little bit more of a substantial raise on those limits, which just means that your income is being taxed at lower rates as you slowly get more income. And then the, you know, those electric vehicle credits, they're looking at taking those away, which unfortunately, you know, a lot of people do purchase those vehicles just for those credits. But what they're thinking about doing instead is that if you're earning about under $100,000 for single or under $200,000 for married, if you buy a vehicle with a loan that has its final production in the United States, they're actually talking about letting you take that interest as a deduction.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so kind of promote more people buying US made, you know, US finished cars, helping out the economy that way. And then one of the biggest things that I feel like, you know, everyone's heard about with Trump is no tax on overtime and no tax on tips. So this is included in this bill also. So what they're talking about doing is, you know, when your overtime is at time and a half or double time, they're thinking of if you allowing like an above the line deduction for that extra half or one, you know, double time. Like, so it would just still be your hourly rate you would be taxed on, but that extra benefit you're getting for, you know, working those extra hours, you're not going to be taxed on that.
So if it's time and a half, it's the half that you would get non-taxable, right. Not the time, it's the half.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yep. Yeah, so for individuals, they're thinking that this should really be about anywhere from $8,000 to $13,000 more in take-home pay.
And for the tips piece as well?
And yeah, so the tips would be the same thing, the above-the-line deduction. That would be for all tips. So.
I'm getting ready to get paid in overtime and tips. Well, that's so you think that's going to end up being a savings of approximately $8,000 to $13,000?
About $8,000 to $13,000. Yeah, wow. That's what they're thinking for take home for each family, which is a really big, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's individuals. How about businesses?
So businesses, a lot of the things that were being phased out with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that he enacted in 2017, you know, most of those were expiring or slowly coming to expire. So they're really looking to make those permanent. One of the main things in there was the QBI deduction, the Qualified Business Income Deduction. So they're looking at taking that and not only keeping it at 20%, they're looking at pushing it up to 23%. So any small business, you know, there are restrictions if you're a specified service trade or business, SSTB. There are some restrictions there, but otherwise most businesses can get the additional 23% deduction now. And then while we're on the subject of the SSTB, they are looking at something that's not exactly beneficial, but right now as a SALT cap workaround, everyone, a lot of companies have been doing a PTE payment, pass-through entity tax. So this way they get a deduction on their state taxes in the business. Well, they are looking at, for SSTBs, getting rid of that deduction.
And just to clarify, when you say SSTBs, that would include?
That would be doctors, lawyers, accountants. Yeah, anybody whose business is really based off of their image, they're building it.
A lot of professional services.
Yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately that looks like it is in there right now. Again, this could all change. But another thing that, a lot of business owners have been asking us is the bonus depreciation. That's been a huge sticking point for a lot of people because they want to buy equipment and they want to get the 100% deduction, which they used to be allowed to the last few years. But the past 2 years, it's slowly reduced down to 80% and 60%. So they are looking at bringing back 100% bonus from 2025 to 2029. So, that really incentivizes people to buy the equipment.
Go out and buy, yep.
Yep. And another big one too is the research and development. So the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act allowed research and development to be expensed immediately when you're spending it. This has, again, phased away, and they haven't been able to do it the last few years, but they are talking about bringing it back as long as your research and development is within the United States. Again, another thing to increase our economy and get those deductions there.
Well, great. Well, that's really good information, Patty. If you have some questions on how this is still just a bill. It hasn't been passed. So when it does finally pass, we'll do another video to update you on what's actually going to occur. But if you have some questions on any of this and how it might affect you or your business, feel free to give us a call and we'll help you out. Thanks.